Okay, good evening and welcome to our meeting, Franklin Public Schools. It is 7:03 PM. Can I have a roll call, please, Dr. Beer?
Yes, Mrs. Sapersky,
I am here.
Mr. Sprague.
Here.
Dr. Khan is excused. I'm here. Mrs. Eckhart. Here. Mrs. Yank. Here. Mrs. Larson.
Here.
Excellent, thank you. Can I, do we want to do the pledge again?
Sure.
Let's do the pledge again.
We have to, right?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mike Sprague, seconded by Katie Eckhart. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any community comment? No one? Okay, moving on. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mary Yank, seconded by Debbie Larson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. School board calendar. We have a regular Board of Education meeting on Wednesday, September 2nd at 6 o'clock here at the ECC. We will have our Board of Education retreat on Wednesday, September 9th, also at 6 o'clock here at the ECC. A regular Board of Education meeting on Wednesday, September 16th, 2026 here at the ECC at 6 o'clock. And then the homecoming parade on Thursday, October 1st at 5:30. District Administrator update, Dr. Bennett.
All right, good evening. So this time of year is exciting because usually we wouldn't be welcoming everybody back next week already, but this year we are, which leads to an exciting next summer because we'll have a lot of phases of construction work over 3 months. But Monday, we welcome back our new teachers, which is very exciting. They're here for 2 days. They get a full 5-day week. Wednesday, we welcome back all of our staff to their buildings first. And our open house at Forest Park is next Wednesday from 5:30 to 7. Thursday, we have professional development in buildings again, and then the elementary open houses from 5:30 to 7. And then on Friday, we have our welcome back for all staff, EAs, food service, custodians, everybody, for Franklin Public Schools at the high school. So a little different start this year at 7:30. I like to call it like a soft kickoff. Staff can kind of come in and linger, get coffee, light breakfast. They could choose to do a yoga session. They could choose to do I think we're calling it a fun run, right, Dr. Mo? PE extraordinaire Tony Morrissey is taking the lead on that for us, but just kind of a different well-being kind of start to the day. 8:15, we'll move into the Saber Center, have our kickoff around our intentionality for the school year, coherence plan updates, board address, and Ed Foundation speaks for a little bit, and then also a guest speaker. And at 9:15, we are going to move into gear up sessions. So it's a little different this year. Personal choice, professional development for staff and our educational assistants. That will take place at the high school, and then our staff will round out their day back at their buildings. The first day of school then is the following Monday, the 24th. That's 4K through 6th grade and 9th grade, and then everybody's back on Tuesday, August 25th. But this week, we have our 6th and 9th graders with us. Today was the first of 2-day transitions for those grades. So the high school and the middle school had many bodies moving about, meeting staff, getting used to their building, learning some of their routines. Very well attended as they have been in the past. And thank you to our staff that organize and staff that come in early to make these days happen for our students. Exciting last week, we've talked about it a bit, we had our 4th annual leadership summit. It took place with about 120 staff and leadership from across all of our schools and our district office. It's 2 days filled with reflection, with celebrations, with deep data dives. I could tell you how wonderful I felt like it went, but I'll give you a few of our favorite quotes as we take feedback each day. So, intentionality of tasks helping us to be better for all students. We take it for granted now, but the fact that we take this time, it's funded and planned for, it says a lot about our values and purpose. The wellness start, people make up systems, so thank you for caring for your people. I feel as though I'm in good hands. Thank you for your care and attention to today. Getting time as a school to dive deep into the goals and the why behind them. This is one of my favorites. Seeing how the sausage was made. However we interpret that, but it's fun. The admin team and the example they set and how they lead and serve in this summit. We had done 2 off-site explorations each morning, so one of them was at Bender Park. Feedback there was that it made data interpretation and role perspective a very enjoyable activity. The trip to the Conservancy, coupled with a return to nature activity from the mental strength playbook, was exceptionally intentional. Another comment, they love the structure of the days and things never seem to drag. The big themes that came out of the feedback when we used AI to help us summarize it through Notebook LM was that it was productive team time, so significant amount of uninterrupted time with our schools, tools that they could use. We had big whiteboards to do the fishbone analysis or 5 whys and to do stoplight analysis, so new tools to get everybody involved. We have a local family that owns the Dairy Queen, so they partnered with us for an ice cream surprise on day 2. That was very well received because that was our longer afternoon in their breakout room. So we did that. We had intentionality around dream team deliveries that Ms. Lancor helped with and our whole team did. So we'd done a survey of 36 random questions with all our summit members in May, and they kind of wondered, like, why does the district want to know my favorite song or color and a variety of other things. But we made dream team bags throughout the 2 days, and they were personalized bookmarks for everybody with their favorite, song or song lyric or something else that came out of the survey. Might have been their spirit animal. Those were all printed and laminated by Ms. Lancor, which is very impressive. And then a few other things they liked, maybe their favorite pen, maybe their favorite drink. Nothing huge, but at 5 or 6 different times throughout the 2 days, the siren would go off, and the dream team would come in with their cart, and they'd deliver a few bags to people, and they'd disappear. And then throughout the 2 days, everybody received a bag. And it was just neat that people, intentional comments, Pat Gain actually had told Susan Robbie from the Conservancy, they really actually cared. Like, these gifts were like personalized to who we were as they went into them. So that intentionality really started to shine through. I would say 2 anecdotal comments that came to me from teachers that we've had in the district for decades were, we've worked for a variety of leaders, and it's just been really nice to see the whole team come together and the energy. Like, I'm going to approach the start of the year different. I think I have 3 years left. I hope this whole team is here for 3 more years. And so just like really great things that people don't have to say, but the experience that it created. And it was about the students. Like, we dive deep into data, and Dr. Mo was in a room when they were really diving into data for our students with special needs and like, where are we meeting it and where are we not? And the deep level of conversations that took place to think about why some things are working for some students and not for others. There were moments of tears in rooms about like, well, I thought we were doing the best thing. Well, we are doing the best thing, and now we know more and we can adjust. So just really impactful days, a lot of intentionality behind them. So great time. And a lot of them were back, or about our Better Place to Learn committee kicked off on Monday, and I would say about 20% of that group were also Summit team members from the week prior. And Dr. Mo, Ms. Lancor, and Ms. Pound, all in separate moments, when I was passing them in the hall of this building and it's busy, said the energy in the room was amazing. And it wasn't just the energy of like, I haven't seen you all summer, but it was like kind of an unexplainable energy of like this just invigorated like intentionality going into the year. And so we're optimistic. Like, we're excited for the year. We always are, but there just seems to be a lot more leaders, and leaders are anybody who has influence over anyone else. So every classroom teacher, every EA, like bringing that. So that's what we hope to bring into next week too. This weekend, the Franklin Education Foundation hosts a beer garden appreciation at the Franksville Craft Beer Garden. So that's open to everybody, families, staff, everybody, sorry. So food trucks, lawn games, live music, all of the things you can imagine that make it a fun outdoor adventure. And the one thing I forgot to mention with the summit is this year we had outstanding partners. C.D. Smith and the Ed Foundation donated money to buy bags for all of our members. Ed Foundation sponsored a full lunch. Diverse Grounds donated prizes for our teams. The Dairy Queen, like I talked about, it's a local family. They partnered with us for the ice cream cups. So just a really great opportunity to kind of show gratitude and for our whole community to come around that. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Impressive. It's fun.
School and community engagement reports. Anyone have any reports?
We had fun at the National Night Out.
We did have fun at National Night Out. busier than ever, and excellent weather. It's a good time.
I attended the CISA Board of Control meeting last evening. I will send around the agenda for everybody so that you can see what we talked about.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I went to a volition meeting, so
Still
hanging
there.
out there.
Thanks, Mary.
Hopefully some good.
Just in general, I would just say,
things.
had the opportunity to be on campus a little bit over the last 2 weeks and to see the students coming back, you know, from band students to football students, the cross-country kids running in the morning, whatever else. It's just, that energy comes back in the students as well. So very fun to see that, ready for the school year.
Pancake breakfast.
Yes, that too. Can make pancakes. We actually brought food around if you were in the office. On Monday, we did. We delivered pancakes to staff anyway, just fun to have the kids on campus again. Reports, presentations, and other school board business. Ed for an employment update with Dr. Moe, Mr. Volo, Mr. Thompson. Come on down. Right? Like, am I?
They want to make a dramatic entrance.
It's like, I think that's
Oh,
next
us?
on my
Oh, yeah,
agenda.
right.
Us, yeah. Right.
Come on now, guys.
I'm going to let these guys do most of the talking, but this is something quite simply we do very well. It's expansive. It involves a lot of kids. Not sure why my mic is not working. You can all hear me.
Trying to silence you.
Yeah.
Trying for a while.
You guys know this format. The format of this is required by the state, but there's some pieces that I'll ask Mr. Volo and Mr. Thompson to add. But the format doesn't change, not because we love it so much, but because this is what is required by the state. So we have our always actions, and then we have pieces doing this year. I think my favorite part of prepping this report is many years I've done it in a row with these guys, and they're always super excited. Oh, and make sure you put on there for next year, blah, 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 which, no offense to other reports I sometimes have to prep, that's not always the reaction that you get, like being excited to share. So I'll turn it over to them.
Yeah, so I think that, to your point, Dr. Moe, it is an exciting celebration, and it's a time to kind of reflect and think about all the great things that have occurred, which you're in the middle of it sometimes kind of take a step back and kind of celebrate everything, and then kind of always looking at ways to kind of improve and kind of things to kind of change. So we'll kind of focus on the part 3, the strategic improvement actions. So we have 2 of those. Profile of graduate, something that we're always kind of looking at, continued connection to work-based learning experiences. And something that I kind of noted here is, you know, talking about with business partners about it and how they can be infused in the process. So really what I've noticed in kind of working with the business partners is they have to be around our students more. And they really have to have that exposure, because sometimes they're just kind of like leery of working with high school kids, and kind of, you know, and that kind of has been something that we're trying to be more intentional about, is kind of trying to give them experiences in ways that they can kind of have, you know, increased exposure to our students. And once they do have those repeated encounters, then they're more likely to partner, and then they're more likely to have more students, and then they're going to be able to provide feedback and be like, oh yeah, we're really noticing that, you know, students are really good at communicating. They just kind of do it in a slightly different way. We really notice that they're really good at, you know, showing up on time and kind of coming in with like a really good positive mindset. And we notice that this, and this. So all of the feedback is generally always very positive. I mean, I work with a lot of the employers and talk to them, and when kids are going in there, they're extremely engaged because they're doing something that they want to do. So it's kind of, yeah, I think that kind of piece is the first piece. And Mike, I guess you want to talk about like the advisory kind of piece.
And advisory, which I'll be starting with my 3rd advisory, starting their journey with the class of 2030 in a little bit in the 24th. So I'm excited to see that new group. Can't wait to meet them. But as we go through advisory, you know that we've had that now as an all-hands aspect of Franklin High School for 8 years, and it existed before that. And we're excited to see advisory continue to get more intentional as we go from the freshman experience, which last year we talked about dispositions, to the sophomore experience. So it's not that our juniors and seniors aren't getting a great advisory experience, but we're getting better and better at aligning what is it they're doing, how do those align to our profile of a graduate, how do those same, you know, outcomes align to our profile of a graduate. So, you know, having those things be at the center. And then we help our advisors do that really, really well and do it better. So I'll be living it with the freshmen this year in a way I have not since my last group started. So excited to do that, and again, just continue to iterate on advisory as one of the levers that helps with belonging, as well as just all the things that go into students learning about high school, finding opportunities to connect, and knowing how academic career planning is not just the responsibility of school counselors or teachers one time a year. It's something we do each and every day. So they don't get the outcomes if they don't have those conversations with trusted adults on repeat. So excited to do that. And then with the second continuous improvement opportunity, just know that as we think about things here, I know a lot of things fall into the idea of experience, and what is the experience of our students, what is the experience of our stakeholders. So as we talk through this year, please know that we want to make sure that we understand student experience not just from what they tell us on surveys or when they graduate and leave, but what are those different ways to gather what is it that's happening as a result of our intentional actions. So our students telling us things in the anecdotal sense, in addition to those quantifiable things, because we have those metrics and we're proud of them, and we should celebrate that, but also what is that student experience, and are we truly helping outcomes for all students improve?
Yeah, I think to add with that, of course, what drives the experience is the mentors that we have, and we have some phenomenal people. And a great example, on yesterday morning, I guess, yeah, it was already yesterday. Tom, it's been a long couple of days. Golf started Monday, coaching and everything, so it's only been 2 days. But anyway, Tom Herman and I went to Ascension in Franklin, and we went to their morning huddle with the nurses, and we brought 7 Brew for them, just to thank them. The director of nursing, we connected with them, and we're trying to kind of do that a few times throughout the year, probably one place a month where we either take food or whatever, and just the relationship build that you build eventually over doing that over time. We're kind of seeing to where now you get a response email in 30 minutes, you get these relationships with people where they really kind of just all of a sudden now open their eyes more to kind of things, and it's generally it's who doesn't like free, and we're hip, we have 7 Brew, so right, so we took the 7 Brew there, and it was a great way to kind of give them a thank you, because they've they came to a hiring event last Monday, and they're looking for more kids every time they come, so they're getting up to where it's 5 to 6 kids a year, and looking at maybe they're starting to do medical assistant, youth apprentices, and other things. So it's really great to kind of give back and kind of do those things. I think a couple other things I highlighted on here. So a lot of the things that we're doing, the numbers are great and everything, but it's how can we make the experience even better for the students? And I think a couple of things on there with the apprenticeship students, we're hosting some sort of leadership summit, and we're looking at late November into early December to kind of do and give students an opportunity to experience what a professional development conference would be like. So you go in and you have a speaker, and then you have some breakout rooms, whether they're and then around some skills, and then kind of some ways to kind of do that. So I got an email today that the Marquette is willing to kind of host that, just because it's hard to find a site that can host 100 and some people, maybe 120 students within our consortium of youth apprentices that have multiple rooms and things we can kind of use. And then kind of just an advisory group of youth apprentices we're looking to pilot. So just kind of a way to kind of meet with some leaders within Tom Herman and I's consortium of kids that kind of want to come in and lead, and ask them hey, you go to these events, how can we market it better? How can we provide a better experience to them? And that kind of drives all of this work. And I think ultimately all this work is done by people outside of this room too. It takes, the board, it takes leadership, it takes everybody to kind of do it. And it's really, I think, a great testament to the people in the community. We were on a call yesterday with a nonprofit that works with steam fitters and all these things, and Tom and I were on it, and they're it's great to work with your school and hear the things that your districts are doing, because we have calls from other places and they're not. So taking time to kind of celebrate the great work that we do. So I guess any questions?
So specifically to healthcare, what internships or mentorships or programming, because I know you talk about CNAs and everyone wants to be a nurse, but there are obviously so many other healthcare professions. What ones are kids exposed to or have opportunities to learn
absolutely.
about?
So we were excited this past summer. We piloted a healthcare camp, and I believe it was one of the only ones that's happened in the state. So Ascension, I want to say it was either Southern Indiana, Evansville area, did this, and then the workforce development kind of person kind of did it. Now you're seeing them pop up everywhere, because they're kind of, a lot of the hospitals are catching on, and we had only 20 kids the first year, but they were exposed to 4 days from about 9 to 2 or 3 p.m., and they went around and saw all sorts of different areas of the hospital. So I wasn't able to attend all of the days, but the agenda was rather amazing that they got to see. So that, the Center for Healthcare Careers, which is kind of funded by all the 4 major hospitals, kind of exists. And they do like a major job, I guess, career show in February where they bring in usually 80 to 100 tables. And you'll have anything from surgeons to some of the, ancillary things like social work, like, and all those different things that you'll kind of see out there. That's where I learned like what a perfusionist was. I didn't really know what a perfusionist was, and I've learned, and that's a really interesting kind of niche thing. And kids kind of see those things too. Also at the Aurora South Shore, we've kind of done some events where we kind of just do like one event where it's like in the morning, kids go around to 10 tables and kind of rotate through and kind of done that. But it's really trying to figure out how ways to get more kids exposed to things, and with that, building more relationships with some other hospitals. Like Freighted is one that kind of we're continually, and they're, talks with their director of workforce development, kind of starting to kind of see, and that's where it's like, okay, we can take proof of concept of the Ascension one to somebody else. Now they all want to do it because they're, even though they say they aren't competitors, they kind of are essentially competing with each other. So that's kind of some of the things that we've kind of done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to take 30 seconds to say, I remember when the program sort of was sunsetting that within the high school that did a lot of the career. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Inroads.
Inroads. And the promise was made, we are going to take advisory seriously for every kid. And I admit I was sort of like, we'll see. But you've done it, and I'm just proud of you, Mr. Volo, and I love that you actually take an advisory group yourself. You don't just talk about it, you do it, and that's really cool. And same thing with you, Mr. Thompson. I remember when you started, I'm like, this guy's got a lot of big ideas. We'll see. You really did, and you're really so passionate about it, and you found your niche, and I'm just proud of you too. So that's all.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I really would like to know what a perfusionist is. I mean, maybe everyone else knows.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
think I've told Mr. Volo because I was so excited because I found out what it was. And I
Yes.
probably
I
tell
didn't
people all
either.
the
I
time
didn't
they
know
say.
either.
Let me I'll try to paraphrase what I learned from Andy.
Okay.
And it is the person who operates the bypass machine during surgery. So like when someone has to have a bypass surgery, they're the person who's making sure that that machine is doing its thing to keep that person alive.
And
And-
MSOE actually is a program
Yeah, MSOE, it's a
that
master's.
does it too, like masters. Yeah, I believe.
master's program.
So to find that and then find out it was local, I was like, oh, then kids are like, oh, that's kind of an interesting little thing that we found out about. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I mean, just hearing the stories from students is always just really exciting, and you're offering them so many different opportunities. And I just think it's really helping all of our students succeed in all different ways. So thank you for that work.
Yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
look forward to more updates.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have 7 brew next time. I mean,
I can, yeah, definitely.
Got to prove your coolness.
Right? It is. Like,
Nurses will eat or drink anything,
the
anytime.
caffeine,
so-
they were like going crazy because I'm like, who doesn't? They love caffeine. They had their coffee and then they grabbed the energy drink 7 brew for later in the day.
Mhm. It's a long day.
Right.
More coffee.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. We will move on to the health clinic update. Ms. Lancour and Mr. Cromie, please.
There we go.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
Right, pretty exciting stuff. So our health clinic has been open in February of, first week, second week of February of 2026. The data that we're going to take a look through goes through June, so I know we've had July. We just got the July data late last week, so data we had presented is through June. We've had 206 new patients, so 206 staff members or dependents have gone through the health clinic since it's opened. And we can see the breakdown by month with unique patients being on the left, so those are individuals. And then new patients in the darker band on the right. So as we predicted, we would get a little bit less as school tapered down to an end at May. June is a little bit slower. July had an uptick. August is probably going to be relatively flat, and we'll see a bigger uptick as we start school again, and that becomes much more fresh in people's faces. And we'll talk about a little bit of the marketing going on. One of my favorite things to talk about, and I did this at the roadshow, is this idea of services per visit. So For the people up here that are in the medical field will understand the CPT code. But when you go to a doctor's visit, they're gonna write down CPT codes. They used to be 10 digits, now they're 11, and it describes all the things that you came in to talk about. So if you came in to talk about right elbow is hurting, that's a CPT code, and then that gets coded that way. You can see in each of the 4 months that we have data, we have an average higher than 3 per visit, meaning an individual is coming in to talk about 3 different things that's going on average, 3 things that is going on with them. And why I love to talk about that is because those 3 things might be interrelated in some fashion. I'm having trouble sleeping, my left shoulder hurts, and something else. Well, all of that might be connected. You might not be sleeping because you sleep on your side, and that's translating to something else, right? I mean, that's a pretty generic example, but it's possible that those 3 are related in some fashion. And so the more you talk about, and what we explain at the roadshows, the more you go in and talk about, the better chance a clinician has of solving whatever problems are going on, because they can start thinking about how are they linked together. So I love that particular piece. One of the other ones that we really track is what type of service are we going in for? And ultimately, we want the clinic to be primary care for as many people as possible. I'm not here to tell you that 100% of people are going to make it primary care, because I don't believe we can do 100% of anything realistically. But can we get as many people to do that as possible? Yep. So we look at things like chronic care. So when we think of chronic care, do we have people coming in that are diabetics or have high blood pressure, high cholesterol? And on the right, we can see 40% of people in our health population, which is roughly 900 people are in our health population. Of all of the people that have a diabetes diagnosis of the 900, 40% have already stopped in the clinic. Of our 900 people, 45% with hyperlipidemia, so high cholesterol, has stopped in the clinic. And 36% with high blood pressure have stopped in the clinic. So those kind of bigger things that could have long-term effects, those are things we want to track. And are we getting the people to come in and visit? We get a lot of labs and nursing services. A lot of people will just come in, I need a lab draw, here's the order, can you do that? And then have the lab sent out.
So what you're not saying 40% of our people have diabetes, right?
No,
Yeah.
but 40% of those diagnosed, would that'd be crazy. We'd rather stop the candy. Stop the donuts, we stop talking about that ice cream. So, acute care, we're always going to see that. People are going to come in on a Monday morning. They have a sore throat from the weekend, but they've waited to see the clinician. We're going to see that. Preventative care is another one that we really want to make sure we're getting on so that we're out in front of things, right? Preventative care doesn't stop everything, but if we can be preventative, we get ahead of a lot of things that are going on. And others kind of an oleo of all the things that are don't fit those particular items. But we like to track what are we coming in for, and we really want to hit chronic care. We want to hit labs, and we want to hit preventative, because those are, in terms of spend, those would be the biggest 3, and they help curb the most long-term. Our patient survey results on the left in the bar graph come out of a 5-point scale. So we have appointment availability. How was the provider? There's a specific question there, but thoughts on the provider. Was the staff friendly? What was your wait time? Did you get enough provider attention? What was the facility? Privacy, care coordination. So all of that on the left out of 5 points. If we are at 4.5 or higher, we're trying to maintain that. Not that if there's an individual issue like that comes through, we want to know about that. But at 4.5, we're trying to maintain. If we fall below that, we have to figure out how do we get that back to 4.5. And all of those metrics, and those are the 8 that we track, specifically on the 5-point scale, we're above that 4.5. So from that standpoint, we are looking to maintain that. All of our patients that have gone and taken the exam or taken the survey, 98% said they'd return for care. So that's a really high metric. We want that to be at 100, but it's still a really high metric of people having a good experience. Some of the things that we do here, the provider spent more time with me than I wanted, which so those are for real. And if people tell me that, because I've heard it from a couple of people, we try to explain, like, the first one is going to be long. And it's designed, the way that our clinic is designed, it is designed to be that way. That clinician's trying to learn as much about you as they can humanly possibly do, so that as you come in, they can start to target more about what's happening and start to coordinate that. And that's the way it's designed, right? Most of us go wait 45 minutes at the doctor's office, and we complain because we're sitting in the lobby, and then we get 5 minutes of time and we're out. We still spent 50 minutes there, but in our model, like that first visit's like 45 minutes with the clinician. So it's just flipped it on its head, but it's abnormal to how care is normally provided. And so that, again, is the goal, and subsequent appointments should realistically be shorter, but we're still looking at the clinician spending 20 minutes with you. Even if you're coming in for an acute thing, they're just gonna ask how other things are going. Trying to get more information, because more information will allow them to make a better diagnosis or better care long-term. We have a new staff member, our patient advocate, our original patient advocate left us. Michelle has been with us for the past couple of months. She was new to working in a school setting with social work, but not new to social work. And she has taken the bull by the horns in terms of like running and being on top of things and working to connect with people and do all of those things that we expect the patient advocate to do. So super excited about the direction that she's going. So we really appreciate that. Right now, we continue to do, we continued weekly meetings through June. So leading up, so starting around November, all the way through June, we were meeting with Proactive MD every week. And so that was on a Thursday, 1 o'clock meeting. And there's a laundry list of things to talk about from November to February when you open, where things have to get placed in the facility and how are things moving construction-wise and all that jazz. Where are staffing working? So lots of those. Starting in July, we moved to bi-weekly meetings, and we have a set agenda that we talk about. Some of it is related to marketing, some of it is related to what's happening in the clinic, some of it is related to, we've had requests for a new medication. Let's take a look at it, and then we work with R&R to determine does it make sense to do that. Flu clinics and all sorts of flu shot clinics and things like that. We just had our quarterly review, which talked about specifically the months of April, May, and June, so that data is already aggregated in here, but we talk about those specific months, and then we'll meet again in November to talk about August, September, and October. And so we're working with Proactive MD a lot. We also send them all the concerns that we get, and people sending us, like that goes right away. We do not wait for a weekly meeting. That is going, the moment we hear it, we talk, Laura and I are talking, and that's going on to Proactive MD. Whether Laura's handling that or I'm sending it, like that part doesn't matter. We need to solve that now because we don't want second person going in and having a similar experience. And that can be anything from, like, my blood draw was tricky to I had to wait 5 minutes in the lobby and, like, okay, we'll take all of those and we'll try to figure out why. So we want that. And again, we explained at the roadshow, if you have an issue that's happened, please let us know ASAP. We talk about it with Better Place to Work to pass that information around because we want to know those things now. Again, we have off-meeting discussions as well. So sometimes we're scheduling a meeting with Proactive MD that doesn't fit. And one of our biggest ones was our new employee physicals and taking that away from an existing vendor and moving it over here. So then we had to talk about, like, what's the strategy to not interfere with HIPAA, but to get information of whether they came or didn't, and how are we going to transfer that, and how are we going to get you the information to make sure it's all protected on the name of the employee and things like that, right? So we wanted to iron out all of those details. We're talking about biometric screenings now, and we'll talk a little bit about that process moving forward. That's an off-topic one that we've met just on that alone, because that's going to change for the upcoming 27-28 healthcare renewal. So to go into that, our updated biometric plan for 27-28 is going to require an on-site full blood panel. So you are going to have to go to the clinic and get a full blood panel drawn, whether you are an employee or a spouse on the health plan. You're going to have to go. Now, this is only for those on the health plan. We're not going to require a biometric screening for our employees who are not on the health plan but still eligible. Again, one of the components of our employee clinic is to drive retention through providing an avenue for those who are not eligible, who do not take the health plan to have health plan. But really, the clinic still needs to drive health plan savings. So that's where the biometric screening comes in. So we're going to require all, again, employees on the health plan, spouses on the health plan to do a full blood panel draw. That timing will be somewhere between November of 26 and April of 2027. And you'll go by either birth month or 6 months out. So I'm a December birthday, so I'll go in December. My wife is a June birthday. She's going to also go in December because that's 6 months away. The additional component with this is if you have a marker, whether employee or spouse, you're going to need to meet with the clinician for a biometric follow-up. The rationale from that is for the clinician to explain to you what the marker means and what you can do. From that point, it's up to the employee whether they want to do anything or not. That's their prerogative. We cannot force them to, if they have a crazy high blood sugar, we can't force them to take any medication. Like, that's not prerogative. But we can have the clinician say, this is what this means and this is what this can do long-term, and here are some options for you. We want people in the clinic, we want them to have that experience. We also want them to know some things about their health. So that's the upcoming biometric. That'll be used for the planning of 27-28. So that'll take, again, course this November through April is the plan for that. We have some communication updates as well. So our staff will be at our next Friday, it's not our first day, but our big Saber Center Day. They're going to have a booth outside. I know they're going to stop in at staff events that are going to be happening. We'll have open houses again, or we'll be stopping in at schools' open houses or times when staff is going to be there. We've added components to the Insurance Roadshow, which talk about the free healthcare options. So we like to tout that a lot because there are a bunch of ways to have zero out-of-pocket cost healthcare. Assuming non-catastrophic, right? If you have a heart attack, you're going to the hospital and you need to go right now. But for most people, they're not suffering from that particular ailment, or they're not having a large scale thing. So lots of things, and almost all of it could be out of pocket, $0. Wellness center is always the first one. The wellness center is being added to Garner as well as an option for primary care. So it's going to pop up as a staff member's option for primary care. So we have some other things, those are all related to health, but I wanted to tout the wellness center being free as the top option for staff members. We started doing a monthly Did You Know? And so the one you'll see up here is going to be for August. We're waiting to push this out until all staff are back next week, but this one is going to have the medications list. So you can go to the link and see all of the medications that are offered free of charge at the health clinic. We did July's was sports physicals. So if you need a sports physical for your child, go get your sports physical. And we'll work to time them up with what's happening. So our Did You Know for September or October, depending on when our flu shots are coming, it's going to be something about get your flu shot at the health clinic so that staff and dependents are known about it. The clinician will be, again, back to school. We're going to add our clinician or some of their staff to our Gear Ups. Those are our professional development sessions for our staff. And then attending staff meetings. And so we're working on ways to, how do we continually push this out? How do we continue to be in front? Not necessarily related to the clinic, but we've also emailed other things. There's going to be one going out next week about how do you start your day off and how do you eat a healthy breakfast. So we're going to tie that up with our teachers are coming back to school, right? And just some kind of things that are relative to what's happening to us. And we get those from both UMR, we get them from R&R, PMD, Proactive sends out different things. We also, the Did You Know is us, we're developing that. But we're trying to get in front of them in terms of health in multiple ways so that we can continue to drive that. As Annalee mentioned, we're finally back in the black in health savings. We saved about $280,000 last year over premium, so we're back in that game. So anything we can do to help continue to promote that are things that we want to do. Our upcoming events, we have our fall flu shot, so that'll happen again somewhere around October-ish. I know Laura probably has the date specific. We're going to work on a second blood drive, so we held a blood drive in July. It was held over in the community room of the CERC, and then there were prizes for people, but staff members had to go into the clinic to get their prize. Again, we just want you in there, check it out, hopefully meet the clinician, and if you have a great experience, chances are you're coming back. So the goal is to continue, how do we continue to drive utilization? I think that might be it for what I have off the top of my head. Is there anything I missed?
Yeah, I just wanted to add.
Yes, you missed a lot, Andy. Hold on, let me get my list.
I know that Andy had mentioned that kind of earlier in the evening that we had a lot of our new educators here today, so we host like a HR IT onboarding session to get all the logistics out of the way. And I will say, I was able to walk them over to the clinic. I walked specifically with one of our new teachers over there, and it's really interesting to hear people coming from different districts, because he said, you guys just really worked hard to create a comprehensive benefit package. That's literally what he said. And when we walked into the clinic, he hadn't been there previously, and he was just like, this is the clinic, like very surprised that it was so professional, it was so, new, it was a really, an actual doctor's office environment. And so to bring, I think a huge impact is having those pre-employment physicals that are required, to have them doing it in our clinic. It's kind of that first visit, right? It breaks the ice, because I think that's a barrier that a lot of staff members have to visiting our clinic. They, parking in the lot and walking in the building, and other people might see them and what might they think and all of that. But to have, especially for new staff, a way to say, you have to go here anyway, so why don't you check it out, get that taken care of, and then you introduce them to the staff. They, ask for different things. Oh, what's in your formulary in terms of medications, or what can I come back, or how do I make an appointment? So I think building that connection was really great. When I returned, I was able to meet with Michelle, and as Andy mentioned, she has a lot of really great ideas, and she wants to be in buildings and getting in front of our staff. So I'm excited to see what she has planned for the school year. She gave me a whole list of things she wants to do, and I said, whatever you want to do, I will help schedule it. So just tell me where you want to be, and I will make sure that the principal and the building leaders know where you're going to be at that time. So it's just really, it's really great to hear people that have had positive experiences at the clinic. And the fact that they still walk in and they even say it still smells new, and I'm like, yeah, it does. So I just think from an employee perspective, from a people perspective, it's been a really great impact. It's great to even see our staff members that aren't on the health plan or benefit eligible being able to use the health clinic. When I run into one of them, yeah, I was able to stop over and ask the Dr. Erica something. I was like, I love that for you. I love that you have that opportunity and that benefit here. So it's just been really great.
Questions?
Are we on track with the percentages of people that we wanted to see come in and to the clinic so far? I mean,
So we are. So our target at some point is going to be 50% utilization of staff. It's going to take us probably 2 years to get there. And if we think all the way back to when we presented this, by about the end of year 2, we start moving into the black in terms of healthcare spend. So yep, we're in the red. We opened up, and anything, we're a new business and we have to gain ground, right? So, but we're definitely trending in the right direction in terms of making it a positive towards our health plan. And again, I'll go back and say it over and over. If it breaks even on the health plan, but we still have great retention and helpful with employees, we're still making headway on it. Because we're offsetting that training and all those components, and we're providing something that's benefit to employees. And I think when we talked about our health plan in the spring, we talked about trying to have a benefit plan that is beneficial, right, to employees. And so, but yes, the goal is definitely, it is helping our health plan. So I don't want to take our eyes away from that, because that's an important component and one of the real key pieces of why we chose to move forward with having a health clinic on site. So, well, we're trending in the right direction.
Having biometric screening go from basically weight checks to a blood draw is a big step, right? So it's more invasive. Can you tell me about how you are enforcing the fact that it's required?
So we will so our current biometric is a finger prick and then step on the scale, and I think they measure your height. We do nothing with the data,
right,
which is when I think about why we have a biometric screening today, I don't know why, other than to say I go and they check my blood sugar and my cholesterol and blood pressure, right? And we walk away and go, huh, that was high again. Or we walk away and go, phew, made it. And as an individual, that's all we do. The idea behind the blood panel, right, is I'm going to get more data. So it is going to be more invasive. So we're going out to explain I don't know if we're doing road shows or how, we haven't officially designed how we're gonna push it out, but staff will know that this is what we're doing. What I did in the past, at another school district, because we did this, is I went and had mine and just videotaped it. And then we pushed that out as part of the narrative of this is what the new biometric looks like. So like I totally envisioned myself like doing that again. Go get a blood draw and then like I walk out. It's like a 1.5-minute video from start to finish. And it's all done and then you're narrating over the top of that.
I'm more wondering, how are you,
So
what happens if they don't do it?
Yep, so the incentive for that is about 600, so it's 600 for an individual?
And
1,200
for a family.
for a individual and spouse, additional premium if you do not do it. So the incentive is dollars. And that's been the same, that's been in place before I was here in terms of the biometric. But we still want to make sure we communicate and that like getting your blood drawn for some people is scary, for the vast majority of us is okay. But what kind of the image when I did it the previous time is to show like, look, I'm in here, I'm gonna sit down. They're gonna, alcohol swab my arm. They're gonna poke in and out and put a Band-Aid on and I'm on my way. I'll get my results, whatever, in 24 hours, 48 hours, and we'll come back and talk, and then we just narrate over the top. So I kind of envision possibly doing that again, because it's a pretty easy video, and people, yeah, well, I almost won an Oscar for some of those clinic videos, so, but I needed to keep that moving.
Question regarding that, kind of piggybacking on that. I don't remember, forgive me, what the hours are for the clinic. Will those hours be adjusted at all for people coming in? Because these blood draws will need to be fasting. So would they be like opening earlier at all, particularly for like spouses who don't work here?
So we hadn't necessarily planned for that because we have a full month to get that in. The other thing, we won't necessarily go advertising this, but like if I miss December, like we're not gonna ping you for missing December, but we'll follow up with you that you didn't make it. So there'll be ample time for you to get that non-fasting, or I'm sorry, fasting blood draw in as the first like morning or as early morning. If we start to hear some rumblings of people not be like, it's just not enough, then we'll work with PMD to see what we can do.
Right, like would they offer Saturday hours or?
That
earlier?
I'm not entirely sure about. It's possible, like we'd have to talk with them about what that looks like. Not under our current contract, like we'd have to hire a staff to come in and do that. So not to say we wouldn't. But again, we're probably not doing it every Saturday either for 6 months.
Yeah, it just, in terms of like, it is a little more invasive and then just trying to get the people to come schedule-wise, just wondering.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
So we'll have as many early mornings as we currently have now in our normal like speed dating version of the 5 days or 6 days that we hold our mass event. But they'll just spread out over the course of a month.
The one question that we have always had with my insurance at Aurora is, do you smoke and does your spouse smoke? And it's gonna be an extra $50 if you smoke. Is there a smoking component to all of this?
We're trying to get people to smoke more. Oh, no, there is not. Education is historically extremely low on smoking. So there is not. And it is one of the questions if you do a full biometric, like all the assessment, but it is not something that we ask in terms of that. But the
Reduction if you don't.
there is not. There is no incentive
Added
tied
if
to
you
it.
do. Okay.
And we haven't talked about it to date. But there are numerous things that you can add on, and there are IRS limits as well, federal limits to that, but they can be extreme. I think they can go up to like 45 or 50% that you could tack on to someone for not doing certain things within your health plan. I'm not even closely advocating for that. But there are federal guidelines in terms of what you can do. But we haven't necessarily talked about that because it is so low in education. Like we would be clearly targeting people versus like 50% of our population is smoking. We're trying to curb a population. We would almost be targeting individuals at that point because it's a small, very small percentage. Other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, our policy committee looked at some new policies. Angie, do you want to
Sure. We
Chair?
reviewed the volume of changes. These were put out specially because of Act 89, which has to do with anti-grooming laws. So basically, all of the updates within this packet are reflective of changes that needed to come about in order to be in compliance with the state anti-grooming laws. And they're all things that we obviously would wanting to be doing anyway. But it's mostly updating in response to that. We had some questions within the committee, but most of them just had to do with answering questions. The one I'm going to ask for you to clarify again had to do with permissible reasons for staff or school board members to be communicating electronically with students. So I had the question, well, am I allowed to text my daughter's friend who also happens to be a student to ask, where is my child, or something like that? And it sounds like yes, but could you address specifically how that behavior is sort of carved out within these policies?
Sure. Yeah,
Thanks.
like in policy 144.5 in particular, it talks about board communication, and it's very clear about using your board email address if you're communicating at all with anybody that's reaching out. And the question did come up, like, obviously, we have a lot of parents that are in the community and that are on the board, like many of you. And what if you're communicating with one of your child's friends or a babysitter? If it's a pre-established relationship and you're texting with them because you're doing something non-school related, non-board related, that's completely acceptable. We rechecked in with our Neola rep also, and that's the advice from legal. So if it's something that they're reaching out about and it's related to any of your board role, like if they're reaching out now and I have a question about dance and the coach, well, now you're in your board hat. And then you should be going to your board email address and addressing it that way to get it to myself, to get it to Cordell or whomever to look at, if that makes sense. So feel free to text your babysitters and everything else. Pre-established relationships, even if it's a new babysitter, right? It has nothing to do with your role as a board member.
Right, the lesson I took from it was if it's board related, if they send it to your personal email, forward it to your board email,
Yes.
proceed from there, and vice versa. If somebody accidentally sends me a question about babysitting to my board email, send it back to my personal email, proceed from there.
Yeah.
And the same would be true of teachers.
Yep, great clarity.
Okay.
So I would then move that we accept the packet of board policy addendums as represented in the volume we presented.
Second.
Okay, motion was made by Angie Beer, seconded by Katie Eckhart. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will carry. Thank you for that update. Moving on then to commemoration of school facilities review, Mr. Cromie.
Yep, so this is relation to Board Policy 7250. 7250 says, from time to time, the board may wish to commemorate a school or district facility by means of a plaque or naming the facility after a person. Such commemoration should be reserved only for those individuals who have made a significant contribution to the enhancement of education generally or the district in particular, or to the well-being of the district, community, state, or nation. And that's the board policy in total. In order to really implement this board policy or really put some action behind it, I worked with our athletic director, Cordell, Mr. Volo from the high school, Keith Decker, one of our school counselors, and Steve Drobot, who is a teacher and one of our head coaches at the high school, to really develop a form. And that form was attached as AG 7250 form to have a process laid out should somebody want to commemorate a facility, field, classroom, whatever, name some sort of something after an individual in board or based on the board policy. So that form, as you, if you were to click into it, really talks about what's the name, are they active employee? We would want to know if they're active or not, like that's a very important component. If yes, what are they currently doing? So an active employee who's actively teaching and coaching to me is different than a person who's active because, I don't know, they do some bleacher repair for us every now and again because now they work for a bleacher company or, you know, like something totally different. They take tickets at the basketball game versus they're now still teaching in a classroom. Totally different, in my opinion. Not that we might handle it differently, but I'd want to know what that role is. We want to know specifically what someone's asking to name. So anybody can put this form forward, but we want to know, what are you specifically asking for? So if they came in and said, we'd like something named after so-and-so, we would come back to tell us specifically what you want named. Classroom 101, do you want the field? Do you want the bleachers? Do you want the Saber Center? So we want to know specifically. We want to know if the facilities are currently named. That's a component to it, right? Is there a current name on a field, a classroom, the Saber Center? Not to say that that automatically shuts it off either, because it's possible 50 years from now, the name that's commemorating something means nothing to any of the people that are participating in Franklin Public Schools currently. Doesn't mean the name goes away, doesn't mean a new name comes on or changes at all, but it's important to know, is it currently named as well? We'd want to know that. How long has it been named, if we can figure that out? So part of our job now is to fact check when things that are named were named, so we have an idea, and can kind of go back to that. We'd want to know the length of their tenure, so starting and ending years, and how long were they here? What was their contribution is the next component, whether that's a community contribution or district contribution. State and federal, like those are much easier to figure out. But if they're a community or district, please describe what their contribution is. They were a great teacher for X, Y, and Z. They coached this, they led this many programs, or they directed this many performances, things like that. We want to know all of those. We want a character reference from someone in the district, whether that be the administrator who is partnering with an individual to have it named, whether that's the athletic director, whether that's Anna Lee who says it. We want that particular character reference so that we know we're putting forth someone of character. If it's something related to the community, we'd potentially look then from like someone from City Hall, city administrator, or mayor, potentially to do that. And then we want at least one letter of reference from a community member that also states like, this is a very important person and this is why, and kind of all of that. Ultimately, as it's currently set, we would take that back to our group of individuals that helped develop the particular form, and we're going to sit around in roundtable fashion and decide, after reading the documents, is this something we want to push forward? Is it something we want to do? And then ultimately, that recommendation, whether yes or no, would go to Annalee with rationale of why we're saying no or why we're saying yes, to determine whether we should name that facility or not name that facility. One of the components that we'd also add that has nothing necessarily to do with the form, but if the facility is currently named, we want to make sure we keep that in history. So providing some sort of plaque that designates the history of naming of a field, classroom, Saber Center, in proximity to that. So long-term, like that's always in the remembrance of the whatever facility is being named. We want to make sure that that lineage is there. And again, the naming of a facility might not mean anything in 50 years to the individuals who are here, but to that individual family or lineage, that's going to be important to recognize if we choose to name a facility after a new name, different person who might be more relevant to the culture that's here now or the people that's here now, or blew all the other stats out of the water. And like, by all means, then you have to, like, I don't want to say you have to, but if Bill Belichick wanted to name the field at New England, right? I mean, the guy won a bazillion Super Bowls there. You're probably going to name the field after him because of how successful he was, versus somebody who just won some games or a bunch of games but never hit the records, right? So, like, you take all of those into account. That's kind of the idea then behind a pre-named or a currently named facilities. We want to keep that lineage because that's an important heritage piece of Franklin to the family, to us just as a school district, and where we've been and where we're going, and what that history has been.
I think the one thing that might be missing from your process document here is just reviewing who all is going to be on your committee that's going to be making the recommendation, and confirming that this will ultimately come to the board for approval, correct?
So board policy, as I read it, does not require that at all.
Does not require what at all?
That to come to the board.
How has it been done in the past?
The
'Cause
board
things have
view
been
was-
named.
It doesn't really say.
Yeah,
mean-
I don't have the previous board
Yeah.
policy in front of me. I know our most recent one, which was probably 30 years ago, was very haphazard. So that's getting some history, like, we had to, we being Annalee and I had to really dig deep with some previous people to find out like what, there wasn't a process, so like what was the process that was used? And ultimately, in having a board policy, we, based on that, it's like, well, we need to have some sort of process in place, so at the very least, whether this stays forever, right? Probably not saying forever, but like if we have a process today, and if we change the process in the form or change pieces of the form, like, oh, that's fine, as long as we follow whatever we're gonna leave here today with, and that's good, and that can be adjusted at any time as well, like, we did it, that part doesn't work, we need this component, or we need to know this, or we didn't know that, we'll update the form and
So who is on the
make sure that.
committee?
So, right now as it exists today, and we can talk about it, but I would take it back to the same people who helped develop the form, and we'd sit around roundtable style. So that was Cordell, Mike Volo, Steve Drobot, and Mr. Decker.
Probably be helpful to, just so that this is a useful form going into perpetuity, rather than naming individuals, just sort of say
Yeah,
principal, the athletic
positions.
director, yeah.
I wonder if it'd be helpful, I agree with you, Angie, but I wonder if it'd be helpful to, like a lot of things we do, the superintendent or the businessman or the assistant superintendent, okays the committee. It comes, the superintendent, and that committee shall have 5 people on it or whatever it is. And I don't know if we'd want one to be a community member, outside of the district, maybe we do, maybe we don't. But I agree, it shouldn't be, it's Mr. Cromie and Mr. Decker, and then we have to change it if Mr. Decker retires 2 years from now or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm working
Sounds like
through it
the
right now.
people that you're working with are the right people,
Agree.
by virtue of their position, not their personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are all nice people, but they're.
We tried to put together some people with some different interests.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
And I don't know if it's perfect, obviously. But that was the goal, is people that have some different interests and really move into different groups. So like having our athletic director, who's technically athletic and activities director, like he has his hands in a lot of that. Mr. Decker is involved in a bazillion things at the high school and has his hands in like so much. The principal happens to be Mr. Volo, because we had worked on something else, but to me, it would be the principal of whatever building we happen to be at. In terms of, if it's at Pleasant View, I don't want Volo.
What does he know?
Yeah, right, in terms of that, right, we want to make it relevant to wherever it's also happening.
I also agree with Angie that it should be, I think it should come before the board at some point. The board shouldn't be part of the decision-making process except at the end. But we should be able to say, the board should be able to say yes or no, I think.
I mean, that's sort of, when you're saying a community member, rather than the community member, we're sort of the voice of the community, so, I don't know, I'm sort of thinking this one through as I speak, but if we're naming it on something on behalf of the community,
Anybody else have thoughts on that? Go ahead, Mary.
Is there, at what point in the process does the person, presuming they're alive, be notified so that they have a chance to say, I don't want this, or no, thank you, or, you know, it's just, I'm too, you know, humble or whatever. So I don't know when they get the choice to say, I don't want this or not.
that's a good point.
It's a good question. I don't have that answer today. I don't know. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. Somebody might not, they should have the opportunity to decline. No, we want you, no, just kidding.
How do others feel about the board being involved at some point? Not at some point, at the end point. I don't think I don't think the board should be involved before that, but maybe others disagree.
I hadn't-
Policy says the board may wish to commemorate.
I was gonna
so
say,
it
I
seems
hadn't really
weird.
thought about it, but the way it's written, my screen is blinking. It, it says the board may wish to commemorate. If the board wishes to commemorate, then maybe the board should have some sort of final.
The only other reason I thought is because it's sort of a public affirmation of the honor that you're choosing to bestow, and I don't know, yeah, I would think you would want that done in the sort of the light of day as opposed to, and I'm sure there would be a ceremony. We're sort of, I'm not gonna die on this hill. I just feel like we're sort of workshopping
That's
this
good.
for you. I'm excited that you have developed a process.
Or if somebody comes out of the woodwork and says, here's a scandal that, they shouldn't be named of it. I mean, is the board kind of the final, like, giving
I
out
would
a,
hope this wouldn't ever be something
that's controversial, but.
You never know.
Yeah.
But isn't your committee gonna vet
Right.
the nominee?
Yeah,
So we
that would
hope
be,
that no scandal would come out of the woodwork, but,
that would be something
Right.
that we would be working to
To avoid.
unearth as many,
right.
if there exists anything, we'd be working to unearth. I can't imagine anybody that would come forth that you've ever heard any inklings about coming forth, or bringing them forth, knowing that there's like even a hint of a backstory.
What if they're a staff member, they've been run through a background check and there's
No.
policy on turning yourself, right? So, but it could be, if there's worries, background checks can be run, but that's already taken place. And so if it's a staff member, we're gonna know that aspect,
Yeah.
unless
I
something's
I
currently in
can't,
the works
I
and not
can't
out
think
there.
of, I can't think of a reason the board would say no at the end, but it's also a reason to celebrate it in public once it gets to the board. But
What do you think, Debbie?
Well, I don't know, I can tell you in my tenure here that we've never done this, like, nothing's been named since I've
Sure,
been here
no,
that I
right.
can think of.
That's all the time.
Yeah, that is a long time. You got
So we
that
went
right.
back like 30 years. to
Well,
find
when
the
you
last
said
thing.
30 years, I was like, okay, I haven't been here that long. I kind of do agree with you. I do think that the final person should come to the board and we should yay or nay it. Because like you said, we are the spokespeople for the community, spokespersons for the community.
So when we're working on a sponsorship guide, which is coming to the next meeting, and on that one, we have an advisory committee, and it's basically what we've kind of said here at the table, like in what's in the works in draft form right now, right? It's an advisory committee that gets together, and it's, a variety of roles, and depending on what kind of sponsorship it may be, who's in it. So I could see that applying to what Andy and his team have worked on for this, right? Moving those people into the roles, not the people, right? It's just the people right now. And in that format, when that comes and we look at it, it's going to be the committee, right, makes that decision, and that's the decision, but then we're always gonna bring it to the board to be a celebration, right? Like, here's the information, here's the sponsorship we've received for X space, and like, as a board, celebrate that and be able to put that out into the universe for people to know. So that's what's in draft form right now for sponsorship guide, that's coming to the September 2nd meeting. In regards to this conversation, it sounds like the committee aspect that Andy already has established is the same kind of thing. We could use a similar chart to put that out there so that we know who those roles are and write up a little bit of dialogue about what the process is, right? It goes to Andy, then he goes to the sponsorship committee and they look at it. Or I'm sorry, not sponsorship, dedication committee, and then it could come to the board as like a celebration. I don't know why we wouldn't do that, right? Like it's
yeah.
a name on the buildings that the boards have. So I think those could be easy steps to add in that would also kind of jive with what is being drafted in the sponsorship guide.
For the sponsorship, I know we're not on that one. Wouldn't that have to be approved because of accepting gifts or not
Depending.
necessarily? Okay.
We'll have to look at the policy.
Interestingly, Debbie, there have been things named because when I rolled into Southwood Glen as a new parent, there was all sorts of hubbub about the fact that a plaque that had been installed to name a tree after a former principal was in disrepair. So I think there was all these sort of small naming things that might happen sort of under the radar.
I would say under the radar.
Yeah.
That probably happened at a PTA meeting at
Correct.
Southwood Glen.
Yeah.
The Mr. Trotier
The memorial tree.
memorial tree.
Yeah,
Secretary
and I'm
Robert
glad
would
it won't be
that's
under the
fine.
radar anymore, right? I
Right,
mean, I think
right.
these things, I
Right.
appreciate that there's a process,
There should be a
Yeah.
process.
that there's a process
Yeah.
being put in place to celebrate, success and accomplishment.
I would say just in, very briefly, in my legalese, I would say that the board, saying the board may, it is the role of the board, and just my interpretation of how I would read that.
Yeah.
But I would think it would just be essentially a celebration, like a rubber stamp of,
May would be a
Of the-
celebration, yeah.
Yeah.
Shall would be, must come to the board, right? That's defined in our
yeah.
bylaws of the policies,
Yeah.
if we look back at that piece.
Further questions or discussions? So we're saying just changing names to be their roles versus actual name of the person?
Yeah, I put in, so if you, because it's live, the document's live. I added at the bottom for district use, like kind of a break. And then recommendation review committee members being the building principal, high school or middle school athletic activities director, depending on where we happen to be. School counselor, building teacher, and then I put my title in. And then a simple recommendation of naming facilities, yes or no. And then I could add to that process, after the recommendation of naming facilities comes from the review committee, that I take that to have that discussion then with the superintendent. And then kind of the final checkoff before then it would come back here.
And here would be the celebration. Right now in policy, it wouldn't be like board approval unless the board wants to take on changing policy. And that would follow pretty similar to what's being drafted in sponsorship. Well, we could, you could add a designated board member on that committee if that's something we wanted, but if it's gonna end with the board celebration anyways, like, that's maybe not needed, but that could be another option.
I think that's probably below the line if there's a board member on the committee. I think so.
I would hope you wouldn't bringing anything to us that, yeah, again, would be anything but celebratory.
Yeah. I think it's a celebration at the board table versus.
And I look forward to 75 applications to name all the trees on the high school campus.
Any further discussion around this? Further clarification needed?
Was there anything we're gonna have to, I understand there's nothing to do tonight. Is there any action we're going to have to take at some point?
I don't,
Only to celebrate.
yeah, I think only to
That'll
celebrate
be
when
our
we get,
action.
right? We don't, this isn't.
You don't
coming
need to
back.
approve the form, no, the
Yeah.
form would get added in to the AG for this policy.
Yeah.
So yep, that's just administrative decision. We just
Okay.
brought it to the
Thank you.
board because we thought it's something new for the district, so we like to keep
Yeah,
you
no.
informed.
Appreciate it.
Excellent. Okay.
Action on these tuition waivers though?
We do.
Yeah, it's not labeled as such.
Oh, okay. Well, moving on then. Thank you. We are going to talk about our 9-week tuition waivers. Dr. Bennon?
All right, we have a couple of 9-week tuition waivers. They're similar to ones we've had in the past. So people building houses within the district, one of them is going to be done August 31st. So school just starts a little bit before that this year, so you need to do a waiver. And the other one around November. So looking for approval of those.
I move that we approve the 9-week tuition waivers as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Angie Beer, seconded by Katie Eckert. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question,
sir.
for the one that's, a November date, since school starts in August 24th, is that, is it likely that there'll be another 9-week waiver for
They
that
could
one?
potentially bring, right, you can do up to 2 9-week waivers. So, yeah, watching their date is something that Heidi will do. Absolutely.
And the other question I have is, it seems like there's a lot of information for one of these and not as much for the other one. I don't know that we need that much information.
Requesting
w-
less information.
I
It's
just,
not-
yeah, I don't know what I'm asking for. I'm
It's
wondering what other
They
people.
choose to share and what they know is coming to the
Okay,
board.
got
but
it.
We can,
They know it's coming to us.
I can,
Got
yeah,
it,
they
okay.
know, and we keep it in the private, it's not in the public
Yeah,
documents.
no, fair enough.
However, Darlene and I can work to take those out, because we review them, I review them with Heidi, and so.
Seemed
If you want that out.
interesting.
We can also move these into consent agenda if you'd like. Obviously, we didn't have many my first few years,
Right.
and there's a new couple subdivisions going up, so we're probably going to continue to see them, so
I would
if
be
you're all
fine
right with it. we
I
can
would
just move
appreciate-
them
that
into
would be a
consent
good
agenda.
idea.
Yeah,
Okay, that'd be great.
done and
Good
done.
idea.
All right, so
Excellent.
We have a motion on the table. We haven't voted.
Oh, yes,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, we had discussion. So all in favor of approving the 9-week tuition waivers as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. Did you have something else to
No.
say, Katie? Okay.
Sorry, I'm just crawling.
Okay, the treasurer's report is available in Board Docs Library, as always. And then future agenda items, we'll be having a summer school report from Ms. Bombian. We'll have the Ed for Employment update action item, so what we saw tonight we'll take action on. The sponsorship guide review will come back, or well, that's the sponsorship, which is different from what we just did. The CRC presentation from Mr. Jonas, health and nursing report from Mr. Ekman, seclusion and restraint report, Mr. Ekman, district safety plan goals and review in closed session, threat of violence drill review in closed session, and district administrator goal setting in closed session. I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
Can I just ask a super quick question? If we're not gonna be given assignments of schools, so when they do their presentation, there won't be anybody to say, you know,
Right.
I've met with them and this is what they're doing or anything.
Right,
It'll
they'll just
be-
introduce-
Just be the school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Debbie Larson, seconded by Mike Sprague. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned at 8:19.